Last week I talked about the idea of jumpstarting your creative success by creating 10 small projects instead of one huge one. If you haven't had a chance to watch that video yet, here's a card. I'd encourage you to jump back and watch it before you dive in here. It'll help everything to make much more sense. Come on, let's do this. Hi friends, I'm so happy to see you. My name is Jeff Lanctot with Creative Mindset. My mission is to take my 10+ years as a creative professional and break down the tools and the mindset you're gonna need if you wanna take your creative ambition to the next level. If this is your first time here, go ahead and hit subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss a single video. Here's a practical 4-step plan for planting a bunch of seeds, seeing what happens, and then picking the best ideas to run with. Step 1. What's your goal? Get super clear about what you're hoping to accomplish. If you don't have concrete goals, you're gonna wander. This will require focus. You can't be a painter and a singer and an actor and a jewelry maker all at the same time. You'll end up doing none of them well. You'll need to pick one and then defend it by saying no to other things. I know, saying no is hard. If you're like many creative folks, you're gonna have a ton of interests and a ton of stuff that you wanna do. But this one is vital. If you can't step away from the things that aren't serving the goal that you've set out for yourself, you're gonna have a really hard time achieving your goal. If it helps, think of this as a season. You don't have to give up all these other things forever, but you do need to give them up for this specific season when you're hoping to make a ton of progress on this specific goal. Don't worry, these other things will be there when you get back. Step 2, now plan specifically what you're going to create. Remember, the goal isn't to produce one big thing, it's to produce a bunch of small stuff. With that in mind, you shouldn't be looking to make more time for yourself. You should be looking to create more in the time you already have. Time is your most important asset. If you don't have integrity about the time you spend on your projects, you won't have the success you want. Keeping the concept of seasons in mind is your second most important asset. Nobody can grind forever. Commit to the goal or deadline that you set for yourself, and when the season comes to an end, then evaluate. It's gonna be tempting to want to evaluate your progress as you go, but don't evaluate when you're grinding. You'll want perspective to take away valid lessons. That's really tough to achieve when you're in the middle of a project. Step 3, you must publish. This is huge, and honestly, it's what holds most people up. Anyone can keep a sketchbook under their pillow, but unless you're making something completely for fun and you have no expectation for how it's going to be received in the world, then the publishing process is mandatory. Now, I do want to take a sideline here and say, if you have no expectations for how it's going to be received in the world, that's totally okay. That's just not what we're talking about here. Remember, the point is to publish it so you can get feedback. Then use the perspective you've gained from your project plus the feedback you get in order to course correct or decide which of the projects that you've worked on are the most viable. I'll say it again. Publishing is a cornerstone of this process, or else you won't have the data you need in order to know how to move forward with confidence. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be published. Step 4. The final step is to take what you've learned in the first 3 steps and either repeat the process with course correction and a more focused effort on one or more of your more successful test projects, or determine that nothing grew that's worth pursuing and start over with a new goal in mind. It's important to remember that either outcome is a good outcome. Just like with the scientific method, the result of this experiment isn't a judgment, it's merely a result, and any result you get counts as success. Honor the result you got and move forward from there. Now, take what you've learned and start over again from step 1. The cycle continues and you're on your way. I hope you find this process useful. Many creatives I know shy away from the idea of process, but the most prolific creators I know use process in order to leverage themselves into more and more success. I talk in greater detail about using simplification to create more in less time in this video right here. Do you have an idea of what you want to start? Go ahead and tell me in the comments below. I'm eager to hear what you want to start working on. Always remember, you matter and the world needs what you have to offer. Go after the life you want, my friends. You got this.